Yes, unfortunately, I eat animals.
Why do you say unfortunately?
Because I'd like to live by my principles, but I don't. But I don't. But I don't.
No more. No more.
The right way is life, but something else. No more! I won't participate! No more! No more! No more! No more! We've got about spotlight, death, whatever, it's right, not right. I'm thereby coming out of our hearts and that Wi-Fi. No more! To get out of myself. The right way is life, but something else. No more! I won't participate! No more! No more! First a double hit, 88! Group of people are starting to educate themselves, their friends, their family, and we'll have a more conscious, caring society. And are you with me? Are you with me? If you're with me, say no!
Because I'd like to live by my principles, but I don't.
What's up? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, sponsored by Fryette Amplification and New York Hardcore Comics. I'm your host, Drew Stone. What's happening? Got a great show today. Super excited. You know, good to see everybody from around the world checking in. Poland and France and everything. Thanks so much for the support. And hope everybody's doing okay in these trying times. These are Coptic times. Go! Yeah, it's crazy, man. Let me see. Shouting out, what's happening? Bananas. Ain't no denying. Ain't no denying. Exactly. Jeff Pliskin checking in. What's up, Jeff? Raise fist propaganda. Lenny from Crazy Eddie. Good to see everybody. I know we got a few virgin Voyagers on this show. So welcome. Thanks for coming in. What's up, Ed? What's happening? John? Hello, everyone. So, I feel like it's been a long time since I've done a show, and it was 2 days ago. We had Gary Holt from Slayer on, and it was like I was at the lunch table before with the gang, and I was like, man, it feels like a long time since I've done a show. It's been like 2 fucking days, So yeah, let's get cracking. Got lots to talk about today. Super stoked on it as usual. So let's bring on my friend and yours. Hold on, let me get all this other. Hey, Astoria Lou in the house. What's up? What's up, Lou? Yo, I'm coming home in a couple weeks, Lou. Gonna go to Rockaway Beach. Anyway, here we go. Let's do picture of the day. Let's bring on our good friend, Mr. Stephen Ma C. What's up, buddy?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
I can only speak for myself. I'm okay.
You coming back though? You just said it.
Yo, don't call this a comeback. Yeah, I'm coming back June 15th. And June 15th, and we're gonna get cracking, man. We're gonna get crack-a-lacking.
Time to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Come on, it's time for the professionals to get busy. Speaking of which, let's do photo of the day. Let me get your banner going here. Follow Steven Messina at Hardcore Shutterbug on Instagram. Let me dig in for photo of the day. Anybody out there? We want to hear your comments of what this is and what this isn't. So here we go. Let me find photo of the day. Photo of the day-o. Photo of the day-o. Where are you? Okay, photo of the day-o. Boom.
Boom.
All right, hold on. Let me clear all these banners. Let's see. Fryette, let's see. Let me get your thing out of here. Sorry, no disrespect. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, okay, I kind of know what this is. Hey, look at it. Well, close look. Mouthpiece.
Hey, he's on the right track.
You're on the right track. But even I know this isn't Mouthpiece, and I'll tell you why. Because I see some of our people there in the crowd. I see
Logan.
Logan, excuse me, Logan from Gorilla Biscuits there with the black
Gorilla Glue.
Excuse me, Gorilla Glue. I got Gorilla Biscuits on my mind. From Gorilla Glue, and Jay Fabs is back there, and Kevin's behind him. I see Johnny Waste, but I like the touch with someone's X'd up hand right in the foreground there.
I believe that's Bear's hand right there.
Is that right?
I believe that's got to be Bear.
Yeah. No, it's not Search either, man. It's close. You guys are close.
They're in the ballpark.
Yeah, you're close. Let me you sent me a companion piece to it.
Yes.
Let's see the companion piece to it. Let me find it. That would be this. There's a companion piece to it. Well, that's just not just there's Kevin. There's Kevin Craig and his daughter back there.
Yep. Oh, Kevin Haggerty's back there.
Kevin Haggerty, and there's the whole gang. That's our room, man. That's our home. There's
no social distancing going on in this picture at all.
Listen, if anybody thinks we're going to be doing shows in that room anytime soon, I got a bridge for Sunny in Brooklyn. Because it's not happening. So okay. So let's see. I know who this is. I think you sent me one more. Let me see if I can. Let me see if we can find that one more. I got so many friggin' pictures, lined up today. So, maybe I closed it out or something. I'm not seeing it. Fuck did that go? Oh, was it a black and white shot?
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's what it is. Here it is. Boom. Okay.
Boom.
All right. Hands tied? No. Ed McCurdy. Yes. Right? And then
not in this photo, but yes.
And then
they might know.
They might know. Is this David Natoli? Is this Locked Inside?
All right. We have a winner.
All right. Tell us about this.
It's a hard-fought battle, that one.
Yeah, tell us about it.
You know what? We had to today for this episode. I figured we'd go straight edge, and being that we have one of the original OGs of straight edge, I figured we go with the latest in a long line of straight edge, and one of my favorite of the A7 bands, without a doubt, Locked Inside, and just so much energy and great songs and a great 7-inch single. Just an excellent band so far. I've seen them the 2 times they've played there, and they ripped the place up. And I just can't wait to see them again. This is one of the bands I'm really looking forward to returning as soon as we all return. Just an excellent, excellent bunch of guys.
Hey, hold on a second. Let me address this. Pedro Ramos. What's going on? Where the crap is Porcell? Well, let me break it down to you, Pedro. Porcell's coming on in a couple of minutes, and if you can't wait that long, you can get the fuck off the show in all due seriousness. So there you go, man. Have a little patience, man. It'll serve you well, because honestly, Pedro, it's kind of my show, and I kind of do what I want. So there you go, bro. Get used to it. There you go. So That said, thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
geez, the natives are restless.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen. The people want Porcell. They want you, Porcell. They're screaming for. It's like the scene of Frankenstein with the pitchforks.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So, there you go. All right, listen, brother. Thank you, and we'll see you towards the end of the show. And
You got it.
yeah, all right. I'll talk to you in a bit.
You got it. See.
All right, there you go. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, sponsored by Fryette Amplification and New York Hardcore Comics. Fryette, ooh. Fryette Amplification is a small company that makes guitar amps, attenuators, and direct recording products in North Hollywood, California. Their gear is used by the Deftones, Helmet, Candiria, Stone Temple Pilots, Powerflow, Antidote, Volbeat, Downset, and many other heavy bands. The brand new Deliverance 2 heads are available now at Fryette.com. Here we go. Fryette. Go out and buy one. Go out and buy one. They're a sponsor of this show. Also, want to shout out New York Hardcore Comics, which opened back in 2013 when lifelong friends Debo the Pro and Lee Fairley combined their collections and obsessions for comic books, punk rock, toys, statues, magic, the gathering, and all things horror. The store is located at 117 Main Street in Dobbs Ferry, New York. If you want to support them during this pandemic, please contact them via email or social media channel for an exclusive store package. $20 gets you one of each. Exclusive shop t-shirt and sticker, Marvel Comics Venom 1, exclusive cover to New York Hardcore Comics. That's our other great sponsor, New York Hardcore Comics. Real quick, we're going to go to Rat Bones, collectible of the day. But, hey, Eddie Medina, shouting you out, bro. Ragman, first time tuning in all the way from Singapore. Hey, thanks. Yo, I got to tell you something. That funny that happened the other day on the show. Listen, I thought somebody was getting cheeky in the comments, so I blazed on him on the show. It turned out to be Daryl Jennifer from the Bad Brains. He texted me after, and I blocked him. I banned him. The text thing could be a little weird sometimes. Things could be a little, lost in translation. And I blocked Daryl Jennifer from the Bad Brains from the show. he texted me, like, what the fuck, bro? So shit happens, man. And listen, I'm trying to get Daryl on the show. Daryl Jennifer doesn't do many interviews and stuff, so that'd be a coup. I want to say coming up on this Sunday is the Craze and Crippled Urn. So we're looking forward to that. It's a A7 Sunday matinee show with a couple guys from the Craze and a couple guys from Crippled Urn. So let's keep it moving. Let's keep it schmoving. Yeah, Daryl and Doc. Yeah, that'd be great. But listen, either or. Yeah, that's right. Band braids. The band braids. Exactly. Listen, I don't give a fuck. I'll ban Ian MacKay next. I don't give a fuck. So there you go. Yep. My show, your rules, easy. Well, listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but let's keep it moving. Let's bring on Rat Bones. Here he is, my friend and yours, Senor Rat Bones. What's up, bro?
What's up?
What's up?
Not much. What's up?
I fucking banned Daryl from the Bad Brains, bro.
I got this fly Soul Brain shirt.
Whoa, dope.
I never saw this one before.
That's nice. Wow.
Fly, right? And it even got the human rights on the sleeve.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. Love those guys.
So what do you got? What do you got for us today, brother?
I got the Conan cover of the day coming up here. So we're going with Conan cover of the day, number 59, The City of Skulls. Bask in all its glory. The Conan cover of the day. I love that.
Hey, is this one of your boys shouting you out here, Eddie Medina?
Yes. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm sorry.
went for a minute with the Powerhouse guys. So I'm going to keep it moving today because I got a little bit of stuff. We're all celebrating the 40-year anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So what a better way to celebrate that than to show off the Darth Vader collector case. And even though these came out with Star Wars 2, they were a real big seller because by the time Empire came out, things were off to the races, I mean, most people know all the lore of the Star Wars toys. When the movie came out, they didn't have the toys, the mailer, the whole deal. So I'm going to keep it moving now. And I love these old school poster books. This folds out into a giant poster. These were really cool. They were cheap when you were a little kid, right? So happy birthday, Empire Strikes Back. And I couldn't not show a couple of the action figures because I'm big into the action figures. These are some vintage Kenner Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back, got Yoda, Luke, Han, and Luke in snow gear. Pretty cool, And
Han.
Yeah, Han and snow gear. And then I got a trip. I got to show these because it is the anniversary of the movie. And these aren't vintage, but these are pretty fly.
Oh, those are cool.
Bounty Hunters. Boba Fett, Bosk, IG-88. And, these have made a big comeback, with the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars doing a whole nother episode. I'm into this nerd stuff. So,
hey, what's this? What's check out that panthro in the background. What's a panthro?
Thundercats.
Ah,
We had them on the other day. And before you get rid of me, I just want to take a minute and show my favorite hardcore collectible since we got Porcell on today. And I acquired this. I actually bought this on Avenue A for $1 off some guy with a table of CDs that had a couple of hardcore CDs in there. And I love the signatures. Ray Capo says, "Think straight," and Porcell says, "Live free." And I just got to show the other signatures great too inside.
It's
another Porcell. War on Illusion. So deep into the culture, right? Changing the heart of the youth, when they were doing their thing. So I'm very excited, Porcell's one of my favorite people in the hardcore world, of course.
cool. Well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Let's have a good show, guys.
We'll see you towards the end. We'll bring you back on.
If you got any wants or desires, there's a toy you love, there's a collectible you can't find, yo, I'm your guy. That's what I do. Besides mosh and smack you in the head.
and torment me. All right. I'll see you in a bit. Hey, what?
This is exciting. This is really exciting.
All right. Got to shout out Jamie from SSD Control who's watching the show. He was a part of the old school Boston Hardcore show we did recently. Hello, Jamie. It's always I'm always thrilled when you're watching the show. I appreciate, maybe Al Baril will come by and post 300 posts like he usually does. So hey, this is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, sponsored by Fryette Amplification and New York Hardcore Comics. I want to talk to you a second about my Patreon page, and that's my banner. That's my banner underneath there. Check out my Patreon page. That's what enables me to do this show. It's your support that enables this to happen. Go check it out. There's different tiers. I'm releasing never before seen photos and footage from deep in the Stone Films NYC archive, outtakes from the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, from XXX All Ages XXX, the Boston Hardcore film, from Who the Fuck Is That Guy, The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago, all my films, outtakes, never before seen stuff, video footage of stuff that's never been seen. It's all on my Patreon page. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier, a $10 tier. We're going out and doing the Drew Stone Cinematic and Music Walking Tour of New York. There's also a tier that is the New York Hardcore Chronicles 10 Questions starring you, directed by me. So check it out. Poke around, man. This thing is support driven. If you like the show and you enjoy the show, please support the show. I know these are trying times, so any support you could render would be appreciated. So that said, let me see before we bring our guest on. Drew, you got an echo lag thing going on. Hey, do I? It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world with echo and lag. Let me get my notes here and bring on my guest. Where the hell did my notes go? What kind of crazy world is this? Huh. Interesting. Here we go. Stick with me a second. Here we go. Found him. All right. Put your seatbelts on, kids. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Today's guest is an American musician, graphic designer, and yoga instructor. He is best known as the guitarist for the American hardcore bands Young Republicans, Violent Children, Youth of Today, Judge, and Shelter. He also sang in Project X under the pseudonym Slam, and has had stints in other bands such as Bold and Gorilla Biscuits. Prior to his joining of Shelter, he took interest in the spiritual movement, International Society for Christian Consciousness, and has maintained interest in it ever since. He is an active member of ISKCON. He has been straight edge and vegetarian for most of his life. Please welcome John Porcelli, a.k.a. Paramananda Das. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Did I get that right?
You got it right. The first thing I got to say is I'm so freaking psyched that Jamie from SSD is watching this.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's like, it's one of my heroes right there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, we get all kinds of characters coming through here. You know, it's a fun time. So tell us what's happening with you. What's happening with you musically? You know, when this whole thing went down, what's going on?
Oh man, let me tell you, it's a bit rough. All of my touring, like Judge was supposed to tour Europe in June. We had a lot of big shows, a lot of big festival shows. Then I was going to take a vacation in Europe and hang out because Youth of Today was playing a big festival in France. And then I was going to take another European vacation, and then Youth of Today was going to go on tour in July all over Europe. Again, playing a bunch of big festival shows. And everything got canceled. Everything got canceled all throughout the summer. And now they're talking about even the stuff that we have for the fall time being canceled. All my yoga classes and workshops that I had, I had a big week-long workshop in California. Everything got canceled.
Oof.
So it's just kind of crazy times.
Yeah. So
crucial times.
These are Coptic times. You know, it's absolutely. So let's poke around a little bit and tell us how did you get into music, or did you grow up in a musical household, or like what was your entree to music, and how did you get into it?
It is unbelievable that I got into music because I grew up in a household that really wasn't so into music. My dad had a record collection about this big, like a little bin. And it was mostly Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., like all Rat Pack Italian stuff. But one record he had was, I don't know where he even got this record because I doubt he bought this record. It was the Rolling Stones Between the Buttons.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God, what a record.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, just, 7 years old going through his collection. And I just took that record out and I would listen to it every day, all day long. I had that whole record memorized. And I just was into music just from a super young age. I don't know. It was just something that just resonated with me.
And then what brought you to the guitar?
You know, I got to credit, when I was 10 years old, I saw Kiss at Madison Square Garden on the Dynasty Tour.
Another Kiss guy, huh?
Live in 79. Live in 79. And man, they were so bigger than life. It was the first concert I'd ever seen. And you can imagine Kiss at the Garden. It was incredible. And, you know, I just saw Ace Frehley and I was like, man, like, I want to do that. I want to do that. That's pretty much the reason why I play mostly a Les Paul, because I just saw Ace Frehley playing it, and that's what I wanted to do.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, you know, I've talked about on the show, and you mentioned Jamie, and you know, I saw the first show I ever saw, a hardcore show I ever saw, was an SSD Control show in 1981, and it really, what pulled me in was, it was after seeing things like Kiss, and actually, no, I can't say, I never saw Kiss back then, but seeing what I was into back then, there was like almost like a hero worship thing. Then I saw SSD Control, and it was kids my age, and that really inspired me. Were you inspired at all? At some point, how did you get turned on to hardcore?
When I was really young, like when I was getting out of Kiss, I got into punk, just kind of like almost by accident. One of my friends' older brother had the Sex Pistols record, and he played it for me. And man, I was just like, this is the new music that I really want to get into. So I lived in Westchester. So I lived outside of the city, you know, probably about 45 minutes. And my dad worked in the city. And, you know, back then, you know, late 70s, early 80s, New York City was a mess. It was literally like the Wild West, you know, garbage strikes, blackouts, no cops, crime. I mean, you know, the Bronx, people are lighting buildings on fire, like on the reg.
That's where I was living. I went to public school in the Bronx back then. So, yeah.
Dude. You know, so my dad is just like, you know, he never wanted me to go to the city, and rightfully so. The place was a dangerous freaking place.
Right.
So I was super into hardcore, but I never got to go to shows. And I mean, I was probably too just young to, you know, take the train like when I'm 13 or 14 years old.
Of course.
And go to Brooklyn. I probably couldn't even find it, you know? So the first show that I went to, you know, and all the shows started really late too. You know,
back then.
2 o'clock in the morning, you know, A7 would go to, you know, morning time. But the first hardcore show I ever saw was in Central Park. It was the Rock Against Reagan show that MDC and Crucifix played.
Wow.
That was like 82 or 83, something like that.
Yeah.
It was during the day. This was before CB's matinees. So I was like, oh my God, a show that I can go to.
Yep.
So I lied to my dad. I told him I was going to like White Plains or something, took the train into the city. And, you know, just like you were saying, you know, the only shows I had seen at that point were big rock shows. I saw like the Cars, I saw the, you know, Kiss.
Right.
But when I saw that show, you know, I was in love with punk. I had a record collection that was huge, but I had never been to a hardcore show.
Right.
And so I didn't really know what to expect. And so when MDC started playing, I was so blown away that you could go on the stage and you could sing along. Like, you know, you go see your favorite band, you go see Kiss, you know, there's such a distance between you and the band. And it's obvious that the band's up here and you're a fan down here. And there's that, like, you know, there's that moat.
The divide, the great divide. You know,
so that was the first thing that I know as soon as MDC started playing. And first of all, I had the MDC record. I knew every word. I loved that record. And I was like, oh my God, people are going on the stage. The singer's handing him a person from the crowd the mic, and then they can sing it like they're the singer. And it blew my mind. I jumped on the stage. I grabbed the mic with Dave. Dave's looking me in the eyes. We're singing Corporate Death Burger. And I got to jump off the stage, you know, and I was like, I think I had just turned 15 when this show happened. You know, so you can imagine like a 15-year-old kid, like that's the introduction to just this new open form of music. And it just seemed so liberating and so like you were the audience, but you were actually a participant in the show.
Absolutely.
And to this day, that's the greatest thing about hardcore.
Absolutely.
No other music has that. You
Yeah.
know, where it's just together, and the band and the people that come to see the band are just like one. And, you know, especially when you get into music like Youth of Today played, like SSD played, you know, I'm sure I never got to see SSD, but, you know, the people that come to those kind of shows, they're so invested in the music. Like, you know, that music, like, you know, Minor Threat, SSD, those bands changed my life.
Absolutely.
You know, and so when I would go see a band like that, a band that like had like when I saw 7 Seconds, you know, I would lose my mind. And like, you know, to just be able to go up there and sing with Kevin the same lyrics that had inspired you in your life so much. This isn't rock and roll. This isn't AC/DC singing like, you know, just stupid shit. Like, this is some real stuff and with real kind of emotional connection with the fans. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this many times on the show. It's community and culture, isn't it? I mean, that's really the what pulled us in, is that it's a community, it's a bond, and those ties are strong. And you know, being a part of something like that is as a very young person was very refreshing and exciting.
You know, it really was, and it was also very empowering.
Yes,
because if you couldn't play, if you couldn't
That's
play
right.
an instrument, you know, you could write a fanzine, you
That's
could put
right.
on shows. I mean, when I think back about, you know, clubs like the Anthrax when it was in Stanford, when it was a really small club, that's when I first started going to shows like regularly. Was in Connecticut, even though I lived in Westchester.
Was that this?
Yes, I'm probably in that picture. That was the Anthrax barbecue that we had one summer.
Listen, man, you know, my archive runs deep, bro. Keep
it
going.
does run deep. That was a great day.
Keep going, man. Keep
So
going.
check it out. Even if you look at this picture, everybody in this picture is like, you know, a teenager. So it's music done by teenagers, put on by teenagers. You know, you had people booking tours that were like 17 years old, you know, putting out magazines that were 16, 17 years old. You know, those things that I did, like, you know, when Youth Today first started, I booked the Can't Close My Eyes tour myself. I booked it. I was 18 years old. And it just said, you know, it just, as a person, it taught me a lot about life. Like, no one's going to hand you anything. No major label was going to come along and sign Youth of Today. You just had to do everything yourself. And just from, you know, being part of that culture where, you know, if no one was going to hand you something, then you were going to go out and you were going to take it and you were going to make things happen for yourself. And, you know, just to be part of a whole culture like that was so empowering. You know, even the stuff that I do these days, you know, I'm kind of independent yoga teacher. Those early days of hardcore had such a big impression on me that, you know, I don't need some sort of corporation or some even like mainstream validation to do the things in life that I want to do. I just have to like roll up my sleeves, believe in something, and do it yourself. It was such a great lesson. Right
on, brother. You and me both, man. And what's kind of cool is, you know, I'm a little bit older than you. I'm from the generation above you, and it's just a real testament to the hardcore ethos that's the same thing that I got out of hardcore, and I kind of went through the turnstile a couple years before you, and you went, and then even today there's young kids going through, and really that's really the main things that they bring out of it, and that's why it's really such an important and special thing.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people from that hardcore scene really went on to do some really cool, creative stuff. I mean, look at yourself. You're making these cool movies. You're living your passion. Mm-hmm. You got this show going. I mean, you know, most people that I went to high school with, they went to college. They got some crappy job that they were kind of like forced into because it seemed like it would make a lot of money. Yeah. And then they spent the next 4 decades punching a clock at a job that they hated.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that hardcore kind of steered me in a different direction. Made all the difference in my life.
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned this in my film, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film 1.5, which if anybody out there is interested, I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. But I love the bit in the film where you talk about your dad wouldn't let you come into the city but he let you come into Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of ways was even like downtown Stamford back then was even worse than the Bronx, you know?
I mean, where the Anthrax was in downtown Stamford, it was super ghetto.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just young and dumb. We would walk to we'd walk to the little deli they had there.
Yeah.
But it was dangerous. It was crazy.
Let me look into the let me look at my pictures here. Now, here's an Anthrax dance floor picture. I'm not sure if this was the first or second Anthrax.
No, that's the second Anthrax. The first Anthrax was tiny. First Anthrax held about 50 people.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the second one. That's a great picture.
Yeah, let me see. I got a couple here. Let me find another one.
You know what was cool about the first Anthrax? Like literally, the first Anthrax held about 50 people. That's the first Anthrax with the graffiti wall.
Right.
They had some cool graffiti artists come down and do the outside of it.
Tell us about the first Anthrax.
The first Anthrax was really, really cool because I guess Connecticut was just kind of like one of those states that was in between New York and Boston. So a lot of bands that were on tour that would regularly play bigger cities like New York and Boston, they had a place where they could go and they could play, the Anthrax on the way. And the Anthrax was a basement of an art gallery. It's totally illegal. No, exit doors or anything. It used to get so hot. The ceiling was like literally probably like 8 inches above my head. There was no stage. And I saw so many incredible bands there. I saw DOA. I saw the Dickies. I saw the Circle Jerks. Black Flag played there. The Descendants. The Abused. Urban Waste. God, you practically name any band back then. JFA, The Faction.
It was in a way it was a lot when these bands were, in lack of a better term, I'll say doing the touring circuit or whatever. They would play CBs and they would play Anthrax would be almost the day before, the day after. So whatever came through at CBGB's would be at Anthrax a day or two before.
It was amazing. Saw Youth Brigade there.
Yeah.
And the way that Anthrax was is you play in the basement and then upstairs in the art gallery, they had this little like living room.
Right.
And there was no other place to hang out. There's no backstage. So, it was a small scene. We'd hang out with all these bands. Remember having snowball fights with Crucifix in the parking lot. And it was just like, it was a cool time because not only did you get to see the band, you got to hang out with the band. Yeah. And, I got to meet all my favorite bands. It was a cool way to grow up.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. I mean, it gave a lot of kids that were, outside of New York City, the opportunity to get exposed to these bands. Now, I was in New York City. I was living in Manhattan at the time. I never made it to the Anthrax, either one of them. I never got up there because as a city kid, I would go to CBGB's every weekend. I was sort of there was no need for me to get in the van and travel. When we had. So what made it great though is that for a lot of other people that were upstate or farther in Westchester, Connecticut, it really turned into a really crucial hub of activity.
Yeah, no New York people would come. It was mostly Connecticut people, but the Abused and Urban Waste played, and they brought like carloads of skinheads.
Right.
And we were just like, I remember I'm like, 16 or something, just looking around. It's like all these monster skinheads. Alex from Cause for Alarm, that like huge guitar player dude was there. I was just like, this is nuts. Mike Judge was there. That was I didn't meet him, but I remember he was there.
I was told a great story about Antidote was supposed to play the Anthrax. And this is before I joined the band. And Nunzio tells me the story. This is when when Arthur Googie was playing drums, and they went up there and they showed up a little early, and they walked in and they took a look around, and Googie was like, "Nah, we ain't playing this place. Fuck that." And they got in the car. They got in the car and drove back to New York.
Oh my God, Googie!
Listen. That was Arthur Googie, man, and that's what it was like being in a band with Arthur Googie.
When I moved to New York, I my first job I had was at Prana Foods, that health food store on First Ave.
Right.
And Googie worked there.
Is that right?
And I walked in, I was like, holy crap, it's Arthur Googie. And I used to call him Googie. And after about 3 days, he just goes, yo, man, don't call me Googie. Call me Bliss.
Yeah, here you go.
It's always Arthur Googie to me, though.
Yeah, here, #fact, Arthur Googie threatened to kill me once. Yeah. Well, listen, I was in a band with a guy. I was in a band with the guy for a while. So that got. Oh, here. This is Danielle LePage. She says I was at that show that everyone came up. Danielle, she was on the show recently. She sang in the all-girls hardcore band Blood. She said Kenny got everyone from New York in for free, and there was a truckload of us.
There was. It was so intimidating, man.
That's all.
Everyone was cool. Everyone was cool. And I tell you, at that time, I loved Urban Waste, but man, for me, that Abused 7-inch was everything. To see the Abused was like so incredible for me.
Hey, I want to shout out Mark Rizzo, who was fucking sending me messages during the show on Facebook. Welcome to the show, bro. I said, yo, I'm doing a show, man. So, hey, Mark, you got to come on the show soon, buddy. Welcome. So that sort of segues a little bit, and we're just going where the horse leads us here. But talking about the Abused being such a big influence on you, I assume that this is sort of when the whole straight edge thing really came into your orbit. Can you tell us a little bit about how that became such a big, important part of your life?
Well, I was sort of a partier in school, almost, just basically due to peer pressure. I mean, you grew up in, whatever, the 80s. So you know what it was like. Like if you wanted to have any sort of cred at school, you had to drink, you had to be the party guy,
For sure.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was the movie to like model your life after.
Yep.
And, I just wasn't into getting drunk. I hated being hungover. So even when I was doing it, I had this sense that, I would rather not be doing it. And I remember, a show that had a huge impact on my life. I don't know if you remember this show, but there was a WNYU radio show called Oi the Show. It was before it was called Noise the Show. It was called Oi the Show. This was early 80s. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
With Timmy Summer?
Yes.
From Even Worse?
Of course.
Let me tell you, if I ever meet Tim Summer, I'm gonna be like, dude, you changed my life. I mean, I used to sit in my bedroom in Westchester, which was like a desert of any sort of culture or, knowing of anything that was going on in the world. I mean, this was before the internet, if you can even imagine it. Like, how am I supposed to hear about new music? But I would tune into this WNYU show that I could get in Westchester, and he would play SSD. First time I heard SSD was on Oi the Show, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, all those kind of like early bands.
Right.
I heard on that show. And I remember I was feeling like I really wanted to get out of this drinking scene, especially like, a lot of, it's Westchester, so it's all a bunch of rich kids.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting into coke, like once you start to get older, people are like up in their game.
Did you grow up in Scarsdale or White Plains?
No, I grew up in Goldens Bridge, which is right next to Katona. Got it. So as I was getting older, now I'm turning like, 15, 16 years old, some of my friends are doing coke, it's for me, it just started getting like, this is starting to get out of control. I don't want to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember, I first heard the song Straight Edge on Tim Sommer's radio show. And literally I heard that song and he said something about the song about, straight edge, no drinking, no drugs to introduce the song. And man, I was like, I was literally 15 years old, speechless.
Wow.
It was like, it was so, again, it was empowering for me because I'm sitting in my room alone in Westchester feeling like I'm the only one in the world that feels like this. My whole social circle revolves around keg parties and drinking and, getting fucked up. And all of a sudden I'm listening on my headphones and some guy from Washington, D.C. reaches into that speaker, grabs me and just lets me know, you're not alone. You're not alone. and there's this other people that feel like this. And that's almost like the magic of music.
That's
you know,
right.
when something like hits you and it hits you hard and it resonates with your heart.
Yep.
And I heard that song, and really it was that song that gave me the confidence to just go into school and be like, fuck it, I'm not drinking anymore. And let me tell you, when I announced that I was straight edge and I wasn't going to drink anymore, my friends were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, they couldn't wrap their head around.
It was unfathomable for a teenager in that era to not be into smoking grass and drinking booze. It was unfathomable.
Yeah. And, you know, and I was basically the only one. I mean, this was before there was really a straight edge scene. You know what I mean? So I didn't even know anybody else that was straight edge. I remember, you know, that's how me and Capo became such good friends, because the first time I went to the Anthrax, I had an X on my hand and I had a skateboard. Not a lot of people skateboarded.
Right.
And I walked into the Anthrax and there was Capo with an X on his hand and a skateboard. And, you know, even back then, you know, hardcore was, you know, punk was so small. You probably experienced this. You're walking down the street and you see like a kid with a mohawk that's like a mile away, and you're running as fast as you can to track. It's like a needle in a haystack to find somebody else that's into punk.
Right.
Especially in Westchester. You know what I mean? Like no one was into it. I would go to like the county fair and there'd be some dude with like a Social Distortion shirt on, a mohawk, and I'd be like, holy crap, you like punk? What bands you like? You know, you instantly had that bond because it was just
absolutely. And it's like, we've mentioned this before. Jamie from SSD Control says it in one of my films, but this is a common thing, is that he said that, you know, you'd see someone with a button, you know, with a black flag button, and you'd be like, and you'd be like, you know, and you would just, you know, that was a kindred spirit, and you would just from a button alone, you know, would just connect you in this fabric of this community, you know?
I mean, if a person had a freaking Devo button, I'd be psyched, you know what I mean? Like, you can just take what you can get. Like anybody was like, you know, and, you know, especially at my school, it was super cliquey, preppy, upper middle class high school. I mean, everybody wore the same clothes. Nobody stepped out of line as far as like fashion and clique.
Yep.
You know, for me, for me to go to school dressed punk, that took a lot of guts. Like a lot, especially for me. I was on the football team. I was like a popular guy. People thought I was losing my mind, you know, when I started really getting into hardcore, especially when I started going to CB's matinees. You know, but the cool thing about it was, you know, I'd be like 17 and I would go to the city and I'd see like Agnostic Front at CBGB's, you know, matinee. And I would come back Monday morning. It was almost like Fight Club. Like I'd have bruises all over my body, stage diving and moshing. And I would just look around my classroom and a bunch of people with their popped up Izod collars. And I'd be like, these people have no freaking clue all the cool crap I did this weekend.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, now I see a lot of people out there. You know, a lot of people are asking a lot of great questions. A little bit later in the show, we're going to do a whole question thing. So
I love Devo too, Brooklyn boy.
Right,
Devo. I saw him front row on the New Traditionalist tour. It's great.
It's coming up a lot. Devo rules, man. You know. So give us the little the introduction, and how is this about the time you fell in with Ray Capo and Youth of Today started? How did Youth of Today get rolling?
I met Ray at the Anthrax. He had an X on his hand, and it's just so funny. Like, you know, straight edge was dead. Minor Threat had broken up. SSD had broken up. The vibe of the time was straight edge was like a little kind of bubble that happened in history, and it's not going to happen again. You know, it was just kind of like a footnote in hardcore history at that point. You know, so when I saw a person with an X on his hand, you know, it was like, you know, we really super bonded over that. Me and Ray just like hung out all the time because he lived in Danbury, which actually is not far from where I lived. It's only like, you know, 20 minutes away.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so we would hang out, we would skate all the time. And he had actually been going to shows at CBGB's. You know, he's a year older than me, so he had been going to shows. He went to a few shows at A7 even. And so me and him started hitting the matinees at CBGB's. And the first matinee I ever went to, you want to hear the lineup? You might even remember this show.
Let's hear it.
It was Agnostic Front before United Blood came out. Death Before Dishonor. Skinhead Youth, which was Ray B's band before Warzone. And it was Don Fury's band called Balls. Do you remember that? Were you at that show?
Hank, do you mean this show? Hold on.
If you have a picture from that show, I'm going to lose my mind.
Do you mean this show? Boom.
Yes.
Ha!
That was the first matinee I ever went to.
Yeah, man.
Incredible.
Yeah, I listen. The archive I have, from doing the films, like, is deep, and I'm getting my skills down here. But yeah, this was Don Fury's band, Balls, right?
Yeah, Don Fury played guitar.
Yep.
Man, what a show that was! What a show! Agnostic Front were so good. It's like I saw Agnostic Front, and all other bands kind of became irrelevant to me. Like they were they just had some magic to them. It was incredible.
Do you know what the story with the show is?
No.
This show, what they did with this show is the money that they made from this show, and the reason that they put Don Fury's band Balls on is because basically this show was a benefit to get the 8-track console to record Victim in Pain, so Don could rent it for a couple days so they could record the record.
That's right.
This show, was a benefit. They took the money from this show, and that's what they rented the console with, and then they brought it down into Don Fury's to record Victim in Pain. Now, hold on. There's a great segue here. Don Fury Studio, where you guys recorded.
How cool is that my $3 or whatever I paid helped to pay for Victim in Pain? That's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, there's Don Fury's.
This is downstairs at Don Fury Studio, and you guys are recording the first Judge record here?
The Judge record. We're doing the backups. Look at how little Sammy and Luke are. Holy crap. I remember that, the Plasmatics posters all over the walls. That was cool.
Yeah.
Great times, man.
Yeah, these photos here were never seen before. Mike Judge had them on like a contact sheet. There was I
remember that.
And I took the contact sheet and cropped it and blew it up to this. But I mean, these are incredible. This is you guys doing background vocals on the first Judge record.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we did that Judge record in 3 hours. I think it cost us $75. It's $25 an hour back then at Fury's.
Listen, Don Fury, ain't nothing like it. So okay, back on task to Youth of Today's thing, and I put up this photo, and there was a lot of there was a couple of early lineups of Youth of Today. I believe this is one of the early.
That's at the Rat.
Did Tommy Carroll play drums before Mike Judge?
Yes. As soon as we moved to New York, we got Tommy and Craig in the band.
Right.
Which was basically as soon as Can't Close My Eyes came out.
Right.
So those guys played that the whole Can't Close My Eyes tour was Craig and Tommy.
Got it.
Tommy quit right after that tour. He just wasn't a guy that liked to tour.
Right.
He kind of missed home. Some people, touring stuff. You got to leave home. You got to leave all your friends. It takes a sort of kind of detached person to be in a band that goes on tour for months on end. But that was a great lineup for sure.
And then here's another Youth of Today shot that I like a lot. This, you could give us a little background on this here.
That was when we went on the Break Down the Walls tour, and before we left, we all shaved our heads. And the first show was in DC, so that's all us at the what do they call it? The mall there.
Washington Monument, right? The mall.
Yeah.
That was
cool.
Right. And
another great lineup.
Yeah. What hold on, let me see if I can.
Mike Judge was playing drums. He wasn't there.
So this is, I see, is that Civarelli that's with you?
Yes,
right?
Civ was our roadie, and the guy in the middle, his name was RJ. He was Mike's friend.
Right.
He was also a roadie.
Okay.
So we had those two guys on tour with us.
And Richie?
And Richie was playing guitar.
Wow.
It was me, Walter, Richie, Capo, and Mike Judge. It was a mighty lineup, man.
Is that Walter with his head shaved?
Yeah. We all had our head shaved. We rolled into town with like shaved heads, and people were like, they were scared.
Yeah. I love it. I love that. Walter with his head shaved. You see, let me see if I have any. What else I have just from that era. Well, then this one's pretty great too. This is Walter and Sammy, right?
Yeah, that was the back cover shot for the Disengage record. That was at Sammy's father's storage place that he had in the West Village.
Sammy looks like he's about 11 years old.
Well, Sammy joined the band. I think he was 13 when he joined the band.
That's incredible, man.
It was incredible. He was a good drummer too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially, by the time he got to be like 15, 16, he was like he was a madman on the kit.
I don't know who this is. Shitmang says that's Sammy's dad's place. So
yeah, his dad had a moving and storage business in the West Side.
Got it.
That was on the stairs.
Cool. So Youth of Today is kind of trucking along. You did a couple of records. You were at it for a while.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that Rat show? We played that first show at the Rat where you had that picture with Tommy Carroll playing drums.
Yeah.
So we had some guarantee. I think we had like a $200 guarantee. Do you remember the Rat? You're a Boston guy, right?
Of course. Well, I went to college in Boston for a little while. Yeah, of course.
Well, the dudes that I think they owned the club. It wasn't the guys that put on the show, but the guys that owned the club were like mafia dudes. And
yeah, man.
we had a $200 guarantee, and and they only paid us $100. And so me and Capo walked into the back room where it wasn't even the guy that set up the show was like a punk guy. I forget who set it up.
Right.
But we went back and talked to the actual owner of the club. And we're like, yo, man, what the fuck? We came from fucking New York. You only paid us half of our guarantee. You know what the guy did? He's sitting at his desk, some like big fat dude. He opens up the drawer of his desk, puts out a gun and puts it on the desk and just like doesn't even say anything. And we're just like, okay, I guess we're not getting our guarantee.
Listen, this is Al Baril from SSD Control checking in. Fuck the Rat. Listen, the Rat was an infamous place back in the early '80s. It was mobster run. It was all like fighters that worked the place that would beat up my friends. A bunch of my friends got beat up like bad. For just Boston back then in the early '80s, man. Like even just to go out for a night and see music, it was rough and tumble, man. You get the living shit kicked out of you by the people that run the club.
Yeah, you ever see the Breakdown of Walls cover? There's some it's all punkers, and then there's like a big bouncer with like a mustache. Looks like he's straight out of The Sopranos, standing on the stage. That was from the Rat too.
The Rat bouncers beat up Dave Smalley so bad once, man. It was fucked up. And I'll never fucking cut that place any slack because I'll never fucking forget. People go, "Oh, the Rat! I miss it so much." Yo, fuck the Rat, man. Fuck that place.
We had some great shows there.
I fucking hate that place, man. I hate it. Like that place. They fucking hurt some friends of mine. So fuck that place.
Well, you want to know what's funny? Youth of the Day played the Rat with Youth Brigade.
Right.
And they had all those bouncers, and they also had Steve Ristine from Slapshot was one of the bouncers. And he was worse than the freaking Sopranos dudes. He was grabbing kids and chucking them. I remember I had my guitar and I was playing, and I walked up to him, I grabbed him by the shirt, and I pulled his face like right into my face. I was like, if you fuck with one more kid, I am going to fucking kill you. And the next time we played, Joe came and remember that there was one guy from Boston. He was like a huge dude. We used to call him the Experiment. He was Choke's friend. He was like just a massive dude, like hardcore.
I don't know who that is, man. I was out of there. I left Boston. I went up there for 2 years to go to school, 81 to 83. But yeah, go on. This is funny.
Yeah, so I threatened Steve Ristine, and The next time we play, Choke comes with Steve Rustine with the Experiment. And they like walk up to me and like literally like I come up to like the Experiment's freaking belly button. Like this dude was just like huge.
I wonder who that is. If anybody out there knows who the Experiment was. Now you're talking about here is like 85, 86, 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the real ultra violence that I remember was 81, 81, 82 when, I think eventually things might have changed a little bit, but I remember, Dave Smalley catching a beating in like 81 and stuff like that,
Yeah, it
Horrible.
was nuts.
Yeah.
So, we were going to get shot for asking for our guarantee.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of L'Amour's here in Brooklyn was the same thing. L'Amour's was the same mentality. One time I was with the Mob, right? The Mob opened up for the Ramones, and we were downstairs in this disgusting dressing room. The door was broken down, and there was graffiti everywhere. And at the end of the show, when it came time to get paid, a couple of the guys that work for the club, for the owners, came down. And we're like, hey, you guys wrecked the dressing room. You graffitied the walls. You're not getting paid nothing. Get your shit and get the fuck out of here. And that shit that happened a lot back then.
Yeah. I mean, we went on that Break Down the Walls tour as our first cross-country tour.
Yeah.
You get paid at like half the shows. I don't even know how we did it.
Right.
I don't know how we got enough gas in the tank.
Yeah.
I remember, when we were on that tour, we were so broke that we had no money for food. And, we're all a bunch of like suburban kids. That was a great show too. That was in a garage. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Uniform Choice played that show too.
That the Jesus picture in the back is a nice touch.
Yeah, it's classic. It's in a garage.
Yeah.
Imagine playing, it was free show in a freaking garage with Youth Today Uniform Choice. Incredible.
So let's keep it going here. Give me 1 second. Let me shout out the sponsors, okay? All right. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, sponsored by Fryette Amplification and New York Hardcore Comics. Hope you're enjoying this show. Our guest is Porcell, from many a band back in the day. We got a couple great shows coming up. Let me throw a few up at you. Let me throw a few up at you. This Sunday coming up, it's an A7 Sunday matinee show with the Crazed and Crippled Urn. So we're super stoked on that. Make sure you come through. Also, next week we got a couple of bangers coming up next week. On Wednesday we have the International Show. We're going big here. It's the International Show on Wednesday with Laurent from France, Ori from Israel, Chris from Rikers in Germany, and Steen from Denmark. We're worldwide. We're doing it on Wednesday. This should be really interesting and real fun. And then a week from today, please join us when we have Mr. Joe James from Silver Tomb, Agnostic Front, and Inhuman, and Brian Mitch Daniels for Madball, Scarhead, and Ragman. So we got that much going on. And also, I just want to throw this one in the mix. This is coming up a week from Sunday. We got Dito Montiel from Major Conflict, the film director who did A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. And he's a real old school New York hardcore guy who went out to Hollywood and made a name for himself and still has his feet still firmly planted in Astoria, Queens. So we're super excited about that. Also, I want to take this opportunity to mention my Patreon page. Where's my Patreon banner? That's what enables me to do these shows. Please check out the Patreon page and become a patron. There's a lot of different tiers. We need your support. That's what keeps this show happening. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. Everybody likes free, but come on, throw your hat in the ring and show some support. For those of you that say, Drew Stone, I can't really, hold on. Drew Stone, I can't deal with the Patreon thing. I really, it's too much for me to deal with. Is there a PayPal address? Well, yes, there happens to be a PayPal address. And there's a PayPal address. It's stone4124@AOL.com. Please throw your hat in the ring. Your support is much needed. We love doing these shows, and that's what keeps it going. That's what keeps it going. You know what I mean? So there's that part of it. Real quick, let me see who else is out there who's checked in here. Steen in Denmark. We'll see you on we'll see you on the show in a couple days. Hey Mark, how you doing? Thank you for your support. Yes, Big Rob from Bitter Uproar, old school, New York hardcore, Major Conflict. That's right. Ditto is coming on the show. Oh, Daniel, I've got over 3 decades of questions. I know. We got to get to some questions with Porcell in a minute. Another request from my dad. I know. Hey, Dad, they want you back on the show. He doesn't believe me. I'm like, yo, Dad, they want you back on the show. He's like, The real question is my dad's house phone going to ring while we're doing the show today? It's always a great moment when the house phone rings here, in the Arnie Stone residence and blows up the spot. So yes, hon, we'll get Dad back on the show for sure. That said, Drew, is there any way we can hear these bands after your show ends? Yes, there's something called YouTube. And if you go onto this thing called YouTube and punch in the band's name, you could listen to their music. It's an incredible thing that's going on in the world today during the pandemic. Thank you. My dad is awesome. Thanks. So that said, I hope everybody's okay. I mentioned it before. I'm coming back. I've been down in Florida now for almost 3 months, and my tour of duty is coming to an end. I'm coming back to New York on June 15th, and we're going to get something popping up in New York. We got a couple ideas, a couple things. So it looks like I'll be back in New York. The show's going to change a little bit once I get back in the command center back in New York City. We'll be able to ramp up the production value, of the show a little bit. So there you go. There's the PayPal banner. Here is the Patreon banner. Please contribute. That said, let's bring on our guests. Let's change our banner a little bit. Let's bring on Porcell again. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Drew. I actually got something to pitch myself. I'm going to be on.
Pitch on, brother.
Ray Capo has his own podcast. It's a yoga podcast. It's called Wisdom of the Sages, and I'm going to be on it this Sunday at 8:00 in the morning from 8 to 9, and we're just going to be telling shelter from the road stories. So you can watch it on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Wisdom of the Sages 108, or you can watch it live on Zoom. If you want to watch it live on Zoom, email wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. So this Sunday, it's going to be fun. Me and Ray talking about shelter stories.
Cool. How about your, I know we're going to try to get to everything here, but how about your True Till Death clothing company? Is there a way for people to get in touch with that?
Yeah, you can go to truetilldeathmerch.com, or you can go to True Till Death Merch on Instagram and check that out. Right now our printer's closed, but we'll be up and running hopefully soon.
Cool. Hey, so I want to touch on something. You reminded me with the shelter thing, and we're just going to poke around a little bit here. But you and I worked together many years ago, and we did this together. And let me find that. That was this. I directed. You remember this?
How could I forget?
Yeah. Tell everybody what this is, man.
We did a video for the shelter song In the Van Again, and we were all out in California, and we got Drew to direct it, and somehow you found this van and you put tinfoil all over the inside of it, which was actually, it's so funny. You could do really cool effects on a really low budget. You put tinfoil all on the inside of the van and it looked really cool. As a matter of fact, the drummer was Ed McCurdy.
That's right.
We didn't have a drummer at the time.
Right.
And so we had him come, and he doesn't even play drums. I don't know. Maybe he does play drums, but he kind of faked it in the video. It was really cool. We filmed the live stuff at that place, Miguel Hell's house. Remember that?
That's right.
They used to have shows there.
Yo, it was crazy. He was like some guy I found who turned, I think it was like his living room or something. He built a stage in there. He was in some weird neighborhood over by LAX by the airport.
Yeah.
And we found him. He's doing these like real gnarly house shows, and the live stuff from the video we shot there.
You know who was at that show?
Who?
Todd James from that band Nails.
Wow.
He was also in a band called Carry On, and he was in a band called Betrayed.
Wow.
But now, like, you know, Nails is sort of a big metal band. And he was there when he was like 15 or whatever.
That's funny. I have another production photo from when we did the video. This is all of us out on the street in front of my brother's place.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. There's you, me, my brother Ray, you know, Ed, and I forgot your bass player's name. What was his?
Graham. He was also in Better Than 1,000. Got
it. Yeah. So that was, and there's the van behind us. There's the infamous van that I rented from what's his name? He was a guitar tech who had this old van. You know.
Well, it's funny because we had a van almost.
Dan Druff. He was a guitar tech for Guns N' Roses, and he had that thing, and we rented it from him.
Well, you know, the van that we used today, our main van that we had.
Yeah.
We bought for $300. It was almost the exact same van. We went across the country twice in that thing with a van that we bought for $300.
Don't I have a picture of that somewhere? Is that this? Boom. Is that this?
No, that was the van we had after that. That was the We're Not on This Alone tour. That was Steve Reddy's van. Steve Reddy now he runs Equal Vision Records and Merch Now.
Bro, that van looks hard, yo.
I mean, you know what's really funny about this? If you look really close in the picture, we didn't even have a gas cap, so we stuck a sock in it. With a sock hanging out of the gas tank.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hey, let's take a couple questions from people here.
Sure.
Let's see. Let me see what we got here. And okay, this is from our boy Frankie Too Far. Let's talk about Schism a little bit and the history of it and sort of the reissue thing. For the uninitiated, what was Schism, and give us a little background on that.
Well, Schism was a fanzine that I did with Al Brown from Gorilla Biscuits, who passed away pretty recently, which everybody was just so kind of devastated about. He was a super cool guy. So I met him. He was from Iowa, but he went to college in New York City. So I was just walking down the street one day. He had a homemade Dag Nasty shirt on. And, you know, it was just the same thing. You see a person with a Dag Nasty shirt, of course, you're going to stop them and be like, we're friends now.
Yeah.
So we became friends, and eventually we rented out an apartment in Williamsburg, back when Williamsburg was pretty dangerous. And it was me, Al Brown, and Ray Capo. And then Ray Capo moved out. We had so many people that moved into that front room. Mike Judge lived there for a while. Tom Capone from Beyond and Quicksand lived there for a little bit. But Al was doing a fanzine called Love Seat. And he wanted to do a more kind of like New York hardcore fanzine. So we started doing Schism. And it was mostly because, you know, if you knew Al, he was a pretty quiet guy back then. And, you know, he wasn't from New York. He was from Iowa. He's not the type of guy that's going to go up to Roger and be like, hey, can I interview you? You know, it's just like probably a little bit too intimidated. But of course, me, I don't care.
Right.
You know, so he asked me, he said, you want to do the fanzine with me, and you can do the interviews and I'll do the layout and stuff like that. So we really just kind of put together that fanzine, and we worked for months on that first issue that we did together. And remember back in the day, some magazines like Cream Magazine or whatever, they'd have like a flexi disc in the magazine.
Of course.
So we wanted to have a flexi disc. But, you know, we found out that flexi discs cost as much to make as an actual 7-inch. Like, they're outrageously expensive to make unless you're doing like 100,000.
Right.
So we decided we were going to put a 7-inch. We said, hey, Gorilla Biscuits, we want to do like a little compilation. We asked like Gorilla Biscuits, you have a song? And but nobody really. Everybody was recording their album at the time, so nobody wanted to give away a song. They wanted to keep it for the record they were working on. So we decided we were going to do our own band, and we did Project X, and we literally wrote all the songs in probably 2 hours. And then the next day we went to Don Fury's and we recorded them all in probably a half an hour. And that was the Project X 7-inch that we gave that we sold with that first Schism fanzine.
And this, I have a Project X photo here. Project X Anthrax 88.
Yeah, that's from the Anthrax.
So
Construction Glove.
Project X played how many shows?
We probably played like maybe, not a lot, maybe 8 shows.
Right.
We actually did a little tour with, God, who was it with? We did like a 4 or 5 show tour with, I think it was Gorilla Biscuits and Beyond. And we went to like Albany and Buffalo, and we played Cleveland. But we really didn't play that much. Here's
a question. This one caught my eye from Joe Ackerman down here in Tallahassee, Florida. Joe and Mandy Ackerman, thank you for your support. What's the New Kids on the Block story?
You know, it's weird because
what's up with that?
When New Kids on the Block were like, you know, they were the biggest band in the world back then.
Right.
And one of them, in their most popular song, the most popular video, one of them wore a Youth of the Day shirt.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And so I never knew the story.
Right.
And then, you know, New Kids on the Block used to record at that studio
Normandy Studios.
Normandy Sound, where like, you know, the Cromags, Leeway, and Judge recorded there too.
That's right. That's right.
And Shelter recorded there too.
Shelter recorded there. Yeah, Marauder did Master Killer there when I was managing them. But yeah, that studio was connected with New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, so we did the Shelter Mantra record there, and we were mixing it, and everybody else went back, and it was just me and Tom Soares were doing the mixing.
Right. And
one day and they had like a little apartment that was above the studio. And one day I woke up, I went outside to get some breakfast before we started mixing. And there was it was unbelievable. It was probably like at least 1,000 girls, maybe like 2,000 girls just surrounding the studio for blocks, all the way in the back. I was like, what?
And I remember it was Warren, Rhode Island. The studio was in
Warren, Rhode Island.
In this little weird like town in Warren, Rhode Island.
Little tiny speck of a town.
And there was one place to go, like a deli. You had to.
There was one place to eat. It was a diner. It was just like a greasy spoon diner.
Yeah.
I used to go and I used to get like, I don't know, pancakes or something at the diner for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? Is there like a fair or like I couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And I literally had to like push my way back in the studio. And then I found out that Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block was doing his solo record there. And somehow all these girls found out and they surrounded the studio. And so I got to meet him, and I said, "What was the deal with one of you guys wearing a Youth Today shirt?" And he said it was a stylist. The stylist saw the shirt on probably at Newberry Comics or something, and said this would look cool in the video.
This would look cool. You should wear it.
Yeah. So they just styled it on him.
It's like when you see these hip hop guys wearing like Iron Maiden and Slayer shirts.
Yeah, they're all styled. They're all stylish. Just tell them where it is.
It's all styled. Hey, I got one for you here. It came up a couple times from Heinz Hose. I never figured out how you broke your leg on the Youth of Today European tour. Did you break your leg on stage?
Yeah, on stage. It was our second show, Youth of Today's European 3-month-long European tour. It actually ended up being more than 3 months. And we played every day. We didn't have one day off. And there was probably like 4 or 5 days where we played twice in one day for almost 4 months.
And you did it with a broken leg?
I did the first 6 weeks or something with a broken leg. The second show we played in Europe, and they had this kind of thing where they would throw confetti.
Well, that's in Coney Island in Leipzig, Germany.
It actually wasn't at Coney Island, but they do it there too. Yeah, they do it there too. I think it was in Berlin. I think it was in Berlin because I remember Mark from MAD. You know that guy, Mark MAD?
Of course.
Yeah, so he's like this huge giant. He actually carried me to the hospital. But, you know, they threw this confetti, and the very first song we played, Break Down the Walls, we opened up, you know, as soon as the first chord hit, I did a jump, and I came down and I slipped on the wet confetti, and I snapped my ankle.
Wow.
And I had a cast all the way up to my to the top of my thigh.
Wow.
Sucked.
That's horrible, man.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got here.
I remember Capo came up to me. I was on my knees playing Breakdown Walls for the first song on my knees, and he thought I was just being like a rock star or something. And we finished the song, and he comes over to me. He said something like, "Yo, fucking Slash, what the fuck you think you're doing? Get the fuck off your knees," or something like that. And I was like, "Dude, I think I really hurt my leg." He's like, "Get up right now and finish." Like, he didn't take me serious. And then after the show, you know, we got backstage, and my whole foot is like this big and purple.
God,
it was gnarly.
Nothing like getting hurt on like a low budget European tour, right?
No crap.
Here's one from Dwayne Muncie. New Judge music. Mike Judge wants it too, but let me segue that into any new music in the works.
Yes, I'm doing a new band.
Let's hear it.
It's kind of top secret for now, but I've been working on it. You know, I tell you, for me, this whole lockdown has kind of been a blessing, because I've just had so much time on my hands that I've just been writing songs like crazy. So I do want to start. I wrote one Judge song. I want to get to some more, but I just really got excited about doing something new. So I got a new band that's we got 9 songs written. We should have the whole album finished pretty soon. It's going to be really cool. And after that, I'm going to start working on some new Judge stuff and some new Shelter stuff.
Good. Proficient. I guess we should before we touch on this, I have in my notes here. I love this. This really made me. In 2006, Bold reunited with Porcell on second guitar and began a European tour while also writing and recording a new album. He also sang a live set of 80s straight edge cover songs with the Florida band Gator Bait at Florida's Significant Records Fest. The set included songs from his previous projects, Youth of Today, Project X, and Judge. I love it, bro. What's better than that? A band from Florida called Gator Bait.
Well, you know what's funny? I remember that show like it's yesterday. And the reason was my daughter was 3 years old. She was 3 or 4, something like that. And I brought her to the show, and I had like big, you know, headphones on her. And I started singing, and the first song I did a stage dive. And then I, you know, was on top of the crowd. Then they pushed me back on stage, and I looked at the side of the stage. My daughter is crying her eyes out. And the song finished. I ran over to her. I was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" She goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." "Why did you say I'm okay?" She goes, "I thought those people were beating you up." I don't know. That's probably why I remember that show. But yeah, it was
there
a fun
you go.
show.
So let's touch on this. I mean, this is from Dylan Cooper, but let me modify this a little bit. What does Porcell do to stay in shape? Give us a little background on how you got into yoga and your background in that, and how that's really become one of your passions.
Well, you know, it's the reason how I stay in shape, and this is a really good tip for anybody that wants to kind of get a fitness regime going. You just don't let yourself get out of shape. Like, I've just made eating healthy and exercising just part of my lifestyle. And it's you know, it's unbelievable, because I see a lot of people that are my age, and they're falling apart. You know, they have all sorts of all sorts of medications. You know, they're way overweight. They eat like crap. They're depressed. They don't have any energy. You know, you don't have to live like that. I'm here to tell you that if you just develop good habits as far as exercise and diet goes, you're going to feel like a new person. And, you know, so everyday exercise, I either do yoga. I was doing CrossFit before the CrossFit gym closed for the pandemic.
Yeah.
But, you know, every day I'm in my apartment, I'm either doing some yoga, I'm doing some HIIT training. You know, I like to mix it up and you know, do all sorts of stuff. Sometimes I'll go to the gym. But, you know, every day I'm doing something to the point where I'm sweating and I'm getting a good workout. And, it just pays off. Like, here I am, I'm, in my 50s, I can do anything that I could do when I was 20 and I weigh the same.
Yeah.
That's not something you can really put a price tag on.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I guess it's just you just have to don't get out of shape.
And another thing is, and this is another couple of one of my secrets. Don't do drugs. Don't drink. I see people that even drink recreationally, and let me tell you, it catches up with you. If you're like, a few times a month getting drunk and you're doing that for decades, it catches up with you. And, people's livers start not functioning correctly. And, once your liver goes, then your energy level goes. So, since I was, I went straight edge when I was 15, I went vegetarian when I was 19, and I really made an effort to eat healthy. And it's funny, because back in the CBGB's days, people would make fun of us.
Yeah.
And now I'm super just grateful that I kind of fell into that. And it's a really kind of important part of the way that I live my life.
Absolutely. Let me shout out Christine Cambria, who says that's right. That is Christine Cambria's artwork behind me.
I was wondering what that was. It's super cool.
That is Christine Cambria's artwork, and she can be reached at www.ccambria.com. She's got a lot of incredible stuff, and we are big fans of her work, and lots of Christine Cambria work around here. And you're welcome, hon. And
if anybody wants to see a great documentary on fitness, athleticism, and eating meat, and how the two are just like diametrically opposed to each other, there's a great documentary on Netflix called Game Changers.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's one of those MMA guys did it, who went vegan, and
I know the one you're talking. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
John Joseph got me. I was talking to him. We were gonna do a little something a while back. He got me to see Forks Over Knives. You know that?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
incredible.
that was really informative. Yeah.
I love that Al Baril is freaking writing in.
Yeah, stop.
Let me tell you something, Al. When I was 15, I consider myself very fortunate to kind of like know what it was like before cell phones and the internet, because there was such a freaking mystery and mystique about bands. And the one band that had the most mystique of any band was SSD. You would look at the back of the Get It Away record. I mean, I would just stare at that for hours on it, because like it just seemed like they were like the comic book heroes of hardcore. Like Al flying through the air with his guitar and like scaring the dude with the Who shirt on. Like I would just sit there and be like, who are these guys? It was what a record that was. Al, that record changed my life. It was incredible.
That record changed my life. The people ask me from time to time, Drew Stone, what is your all-time favorite hardcore record? And without hesitation, I say SSD Control, Get It Away. That record really, because I was there for it. I was around. With when the band, in that era, I spent a lot of time with them. Saw every single show they did. That record really, that's my record, man.
And I tell you, it would have to be between Victim in Pain and Get It Away. Maybe out of step. Like, it's those three.
Yep.
Greatest hardcore records ever made.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were straight edge. Come on.
And they were straight edge. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, some of the guys in SSD Control were straight edge. Al and Jamie. Al and Jamie were, and they were the big driving force of the band. And Springer was Springer, and Springer, for all his faults, he was. I've said this before. Different people bring different things to the party, and that's what makes the whole. And a big part of what made SSD Control great was Springer.
Oh my God, what a voice on that guy!
Yeah,
to this day, to this day, nothing sounds like SSD Get It Away.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? That just had like a sound that you just can't copy.
And Al, I'm shouting you out here, Burrell. They just released Get It Away digitally after all these years. So if anybody out there wants to hear that SSD Control Get It Away, hunt it down. It's available digitally now for the first time. So there you go. Let's see. Let me see what else. This is fun, man. We're having fun. Let me see. Let's find another good one. I want to get back into Forks Over Knives. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know anything about this. Is this right? Porcell, why didn't your band with Zach from Rage Against the Machine work out? Was there such a thing?
Well, when I moved to California in 1991 to work for Revelation, I was their A&R guy for about a year.
Oh, wow.
And when I went out there, me and Zach were going to start a band. And it never really got off the ground. Like, I lived at Revelation, and he used to come over, and we used to just, you know, he would bring his guitar. I'd have my guitar. He was going to sing, but I was going to play guitar. But we were writing songs together. And it was at the same time that he was actually doing Rage Against the Machine also.
Just starting it up?
He was just starting that, and he was also starting a hardcore band with me. And I remember he wanted to call the hardcore band Rage Against the Machine. And I told him, nah, dude, that name is too long. We can't have the name Rage Against the Machine.
Right.
But you know, we were doing the band. I think we wrote like 2 or 3 songs, but we never got anybody else in the band. We were just really kind of like just in the songwriting process. And then Rage Against the Machine played their first show. They played a show in a house in OC. It was like, you know, one of those California house parties, like rich kid's house.
Yep.
And, you know, they moved all the furniture out of the living room, and Rage Against the Machine played. And I was there, and let me tell you, I was like, this is going to suck, because everybody thought it was Zach's rap band.
Right.
And, you know, to do rap and, you know, hardcore, no one can really pull that off.
Yeah. Well, nowadays is a little bit more, but back then it was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rage Against the Machine set up, and I was like, who are these guys? Like, no one knew them. They weren't from our hardcore circle that was very kind of like tight knit in California. And so we were like, who's Zach with these like older guys, and what the hell is this kind of like hip hoppy sort of thing? Mm-hmm. And they set up their equipment and they started playing, and they were friggin' incredible. They were incredible. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this band with me and Zach is not going to happen. This band is going to be the biggest band in the world, and they became the biggest band in the world.
Well, they had a guitar player that was very unique. And
oh my God, and the sound was just like, whoa.
Yeah, I saw them the first time they played New York, and that was pretty impressive.
At the Roseland?
What's that?
Was it at the Roseland?
No, it was at the Wetlands.
Rage Against the Machine played the Wetlands?
Yeah, first time. Yep.
I saw that show at the Roseland.
And you know what sucks is they opened up for like another band. I think maybe at the time Todd Youth was in some band like Shine in Time Station that was on the bill, and he asked me to come videotape them. So I went and I videotaped the opening bands. And one of the opening bands turned out to be Rage Against the Machine's first New York show. I don't know what happened to that VHS tape, bro.
My God!
It's like. It's one of those things.
New York was like that back then. I worked at this health food store, and there was like a rock guy that worked there. Yeah. He was like, hey, man, my rock band is playing the Cat Club. We finally were able to play a Cat Club. And it was like on like a Monday night. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't want to go. He's like, please come check out my band. We need as many bodies in there as we can so we can keep playing there. So I went, and literally there was probably 6 people there. And you know who the opening band was?
Who?
Alice in Chains.
Wow. And
let me tell you, they were incredible. That first record had just come out, and they were incredible. I was like, who is this freaking band?
Hey, we're going deep here, man. Listen, I saw Alice in Chains. A friend of mine, Paul Rackman, directed the Man in the Box video. But later than that, Alice in Chains was an interesting band because I saw them play some big shows, and they never moved on stage. And yet I couldn't take my eyes off them. I don't remember any other band really doing that. They all just stood in one spot, but they were riveting. You couldn't take your eyes off them.
I remember when that singer got up to sing, he looked like he just was sleeping underneath a dumpster
Yeah.
Like he was so dirty
Yeah.
and disheveled and like dreadlocks, and he was like, he literally looked like he was homeless.
Yeah.
And he got up there and he just opened his mouth, and that voice was incredible.
Yeah. You know, like we talked about, it's a sad story. Drugs and alcohol, man.
It is.
The guy really destroyed himself. Metal Gabe asking me a question while we're sort of on the subject. Drew, are you straight edge or vegetarian? Well, I do not drink or do drugs, so it's been 11 years now. Like Porcell, I can't say I never have done drugs or drank, but it's been a very long time since I've had a drink or smoked or anything like that. So I guess you could say that I am straight edge. As far as vegetarian goes, no, I'm not vegetarian. I do eat fish and I do eat chicken and turkey and stuff like that. I have been vegetarian, but I am not these days. So that's the latest on me. I am straight edge, but I am not vegetarian. But
he's going vegetarian soon.
but
He's going to revisit it. He's going to revisit it.
I've been working out lately and doing yoga, so I'm looks like I could be heading that way.
That's great.
Let me. So
I mean, especially with this pandemic we're going through. I mean, it started in slaughterhouses. So we're gonna have pandemic after pandemic after pandemic if we keep having these disgusting slaughterhouses open.
Here's Al Baril says, thanks for the kind words.
Al, you're the best.
Yeah, man.
I don't think I've ever met the guy, but
right.
he's one of my heroes.
Here, Drew, find the tape. I'll try, man. Listen, I left a lot of stuff behind in life, so many things like when I did the videos back in the day, even the shelter video that we did, the biohazard videos, Punishment, Shades of Grey, Typo Negative, Run DMC, Onyx, all that stuff that I did. I really regret that I didn't save all the outtakes and all the tapes and put them in my sister's attic. Instead, a couple of years after that, you're like, what the fuck am I carrying this for? Nobody gives a shit about, the outtakes of the video. And I threw all this stuff out, which is a tragedy.
Me too. I don't have anything from back in the day.
So somebody just gave me back, Bob Riley from Stigmata. Recently I was up at his house and he showed me some stuff and I said, yo, this is my handwriting. He said, yo, you gave this to me. It was all the outtakes from the Agnostic Front Gotta Go video that I did. And he gave it all back. It was like 3 VHS tapes. He gave it all back to me.
That's cool.
Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Rav Dano, true. Shut the slaughterhouses. Yep. Here we go. Could you ask John about the show in London last year when Civ joined them? My show of 2000, I think, 900-mile round trip for us. Because I think, yeah, wow. Because I think Robert's way up in Ireland. So, okay.
We played London.
Yeah.
And it was the same day as the London Tattoo Convention. So like all those big tattoo artists, Lindsay Carmichael, Dan Smith,
right?
They all went from the convention. They all came to our show, and they were all standing at the side of the stage. The whole side of the stage is famous tattoo artists. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
And then we did New York Crew, and Civ came out and he sang it with us. And the place went nuts.
That's cool. A request to get Bob Riley on here. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I've tried to get Bob Riley on here. He's a good friend of mine. Bob Riley doesn't have a command of the technology yet to come on this show. It's not for everyone. You have to have some semblance of a command for the technology. Bob Riley has none. So, okay, Robert Hogg says he's in Scotland. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let me see. What else do we got here? Let me poke around. See what else we got. Come on. Hey, anybody got, we're heading down the home stretch here. So anybody got any questions? Post up now, speak now, forever hold your peace. Oh yeah, good. This is from Lenny, representing Queens, New York. He's the guitar playing Crazy Eddie. He was in Fahrenheit 451. What's the story with the Ray and Porcell 2-song EP?
That was a band that I was actually doing with Walter's little brother, whose name is Dylan. And we were going to do a band, and I was going to write the guitar parts, and we were going to get a girl singer he knew some girl that was a really good singer, and he was going to program like the drum machine. It was like the era of, you know, early 90s when kind of, you know, drum machine music was coming back. And so we wanted to do something a little bit cutting edge, but I think the girl flaked out. But I really liked the songs. And so Capo was living in the Temple at the time, but he came and he had a flight back from India. And so I was living on Avenue A, and so he stayed at my house for the night. And I played him the songs, and he was like, "Oh, I really like these songs. I'll sing on them." And so we went to Don Fury's literally the next day, and we did that. We did that record.
Good old Don Fury.
You know, Don Fury, you could call him up. Hey, can we come in and record a record today? Yeah, sure. Come on down.
Have you been up to his studio in Troy, New York?
Yeah, a bunch of times.
You know, Bob Riley lives right on there. So here's a question from Daniel Hornecker. Kevin Seconds drumming for Youth of Today?
Yeah, when we on our first tour from California when I was 18 years old. You know, first of all, I got to say, you know, Kevin Seconds, he really was the guy that, you know, championed Youth of Today. First of all, 7 Seconds back then were the biggest band in hardcore. And when the biggest band in hardcore is saying like, "Hey, check out this band. They're the really cool new up and coming band," people listen. You know, we went from being like a no one band in Connecticut, and he really went around and he really like talked us up, and you know, he put out a record, and that was a huge jump start and head start for the band. And so he signed us. But even before Can't Close My Eyes came out, he said, "Hey, we're going to do this tour over Christmas break. Why don't you guys come out and open up for us?" And like for an 18-year-old kid, that's my dream come true.
There you go.
I'd never been to California before, and so literally like a week before we went out, our drummer just said, "I don't want to do it. I can't be bothered to go to California." Like
I can't stand those guys.
He wasn't really like a hardcore kid. He was just like a drummer from my school. So for him, the thing was just like a big pain in the ass. For me, it's my dream come true.
So does this play into this other question? Whatever happened to the two guys who played on Can't Close My Eyes?
Yeah, he was the drummer that played on Can't Close My Eyes.
Right. Go on. I'm sorry.
So the drummer quit that day, and we called up Kevin. We're like, "Oh my God, we can't do it." And he was like, "Dude," he was like, "I play drums." He goes, "Come out 2 days before. You can stay at my house in Reno, and we'll practice." And so now we're like, this is even cooler. Like we got Kevin Seconds playing drums, plus we get to stay at Kevin Seconds' house for 2 days.
Right. Yeah.
So it all worked out. It was great.
That's awesome. Hey, I got to shout out Peter Spirer, who's checking in from Hollywood. He was the executive producer on my film, Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago. I think it's his first time checking out the show. What's up, Peter? I'm going back to New York at the 15th, and I'm gonna get that stuff together for you. You know, we're pitching the New York Hardcore Chronicles as a series. So,
did you ever hear my Michael Alago story?
I did, but you know what? Let's hear it again. Our crowd would love to hear it. You're on.
So you did that movie about Michael Alago, you know, this famous guy who signed every freaking, you know, cool band, you know, back in the day. So one day I'm at Skiz HQ, the phone rings, and the guy's like, "Hi, my name is Michael Alago from Electra Records. I really want to speak to somebody from Youth of Today." And I literally said, "Who the fuck is this?" You know, because we used to do prank phone calls all the time. And I thought it was someone pranking us. And he was like, no, I'm serious. I'm Michael Alago. I signed Metallica. I'm really interested in this kind of like, you know, New York hardcore scene. I think this is going to be like the new kind of heavy metal. And, you know, you guys are one of these bands that are on the forefront. I really like you guys just to come to my office and we can just talk a little bit. And I forget, Ray wasn't in town. I forget where Ray was, but me, Sammy, and Walter, we went up to Electra Records. It was so cool. We went to Electra Records, and, you know, of course, Michael Alago is such a character. He like gave us the whole tour of Electra Records. You know, he gave us like tons and tons and tons of like box sets of Metallica stuff. And, you know, he never signed us, but, you know, we got to meet him, and he was a real character.
You know, Alago's an interesting character. I love him.
Oh, you want to know something interesting about that time?
What?
He said, we after he took us around, he gave us a tour, and he talked about Youth Today and stuff like that, and CBGBs, and said how much he loved going to matinees and how impressed he was with the power and the camaraderie of the music. And then he said, as a matter of fact, I want you guys to listen to something. And I want to get your opinion. I'm not going to tell you anything about this man. I'm just going to play it for you. You guys tell me whether you think it's good or you think it's cool. And you play the song. And all of a sudden you hear like, dunga, 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 you know, here it's like bass and this like wicked kind of mosh beat.
Oh, I know where you go. I know where you're going with this.
And then the song comes in, and it was that Cromags Best Wishes record.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that the first song, that vegetarian song.
That was Death Camps.
Death Camps. And that song, I didn't even know it was the Cromags. And he played that song, and I was like, he goes, what'd you think? I was like, that's the best song I've ever heard. I was like, who is this band? He goes, you might know them. They're called the Cromags. And I was like, whoa. So we got to hear that song practically before anybody heard it.
You know, Alago's an interesting character. He has such a love for heavy and hard music, you know, and like when we were making the film and we were on the road, we spent a lot of time together and traveling, you know, and you know, some of the music he fucking listens to is like unbearable to me. You know, like I'm not the biggest like super heavy and hard music guy. Like I love hardcore, I love punk, but there's a threshold that's sort of like,
yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? And no disrespect to, you know, anybody out there, but that's just my, you know, and Alago listens to some of the heavy and hard, brutal friggin' music. Just like, and Alago really thought that the Cromags were going to be the next Metallica.
I mean, can you imagine if the Cromags actually were on Elektra Records? They might have been the new Metallica.
Yeah, well, in the end, listen, they imploded, and it's just, I think, as you know, being in so many bands and being involved with so many personalities, you know, there's a whole nother element, you know, to really becoming successful in the material world of the music business, you know, and you know, they just fell apart.
Yeah,
you know. Hang with me a second. Let me shout out the sponsors, and then we'll bring our show regulars on, and we'll head down the home stretch.
All right, sounds good.
Yo, it's the New York Hardcore Chronicles live, sponsored by Fryette Amplification and New York Hardcore Comics. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. We certainly are. Our guest today is Porcell. From Youth of Today, Judge, Shelter, and many other bands. This has been a great show, a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying myself. I was really looking forward to the show. We got a couple great shows coming up. On Sunday, we got an A7 Sunday matinee show with The Craze and with Crippled Urn. Next week, we have an international show on Wednesday, and then a week from today on Friday, we have Joe James and Mitz. We got a lot of great stuff coming up, so hang with us. Let me see if I got everything going. Oh, I got to shout out Jonathan Buskey at Buskey Designs, who made this great ABCs of hardcore. This is pretty cool. Each letter there's is a legend to what each letter's from. This is Buskey Designs. You know him, you love him. Check them out at www.buskeybigcartel.com. 20% off, discount code NYHC20 at checkout. Yo, 20% off. Come on. That said, also, I got to shout out my Patreons again. A couple people that just came to the party. I want to thank Edgar Reyes, Janine Corletta, Gail Hoffman, Gail on the Rail, the biggest Rolling Stones fan ever, Lori Dawn, Michael Kornacki, Sasha Folk, Nico Ekhundez, Mike Fairweather, Lynette Bilella, Alex Leach, Davey Hooligan, Christopher Hoffman, and so on and so forth. Thank you for all my patrons for supporting me and for supporting this show. This couldn't happen without your support. We got a lot of great stuff going in the future. When I get back to New York, and I get into my archives, I'm going to be posting a lot of never before seen stuff. I'm going to be transferring all the old VHS tapes and all the stuff. And the only way for you to see it is on my Patreon page. There it is, scrolling underneath there. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier. Take off your hat, throw it in the ring. Please come be a part of it. Your support is what enables. Come be an enabler. Enable this show to happen. Also, off the record, I want to say I'm coming back to New York on the 15th. There's a little buzz in the air about us doing a little informal get-together in Tompkins Square Park, A7, towards the end of June. We're going to talk a bit more about that on the A7 Sunday Matinee Show on Sunday. So that, you know what, also, this is a miracle, as many of you regular show people know, that my dad's house phone hasn't rung once during this show. So I know everybody loves when Arnie Stone's house phone blasts us during the show. Also, on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. If you have a communication device here on this planet, follow me on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. That's really the conduit to what's going on with the show. So check that out. And I think I covered a lot here. Let me see anybody check it in. Careful, Drew, you'll jinx it. Yep. Moshing 6 feet apart. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Oh, shouting out Davey Hooligan. What's up, Davey and Zagori? I look forward to seeing you. Are these shows going to end? No, these shows are not going to end as long as people contribute and want to see the shows. That's why I built this Patreon page, so I can continue doing the shows. As long as there's support and a want for the shows are going to continue. I'm enjoying them. You're enjoying them. We're all enjoying them. Jim is enjoying them. I'm enjoying these shows, and we're just going to keep doing them. I got some shit lined up. I'm trying to patch it up with Dow from the Bad Brains, who I banned from the show, and get him on. But Sarah, thank you. Great show. Hey, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jamie SSD Control. I know, man. Listen, Jamie, you got to come back on the show. We barely scratched the surface when you came on. So, I love you. And, I know there's a lot of chatter about, the big SSD Control reunion. I talked to Al. I'm available. Get John Watson on. Yeah, we'll get John Watson on. Hold your horses. Shouting out Brian Whittemore. Brian, I love you too, bro. Thank you for your support so much. Please take care of yourself, and we're gonna see you soon. Oh, this thing about Sid the Kid. So Sid the Kid is back working. So Sid is gonna be record of the week now. Sid is gonna come on Sundays and do record of the week. So Sid is not gonna be a part of the show for the most part during the weekdays, but Sid is gonna be here for the Sunday A7 matinee shows, doing record of the week. From Zenith, Drew, I love these shows. Gold, mate, love from the UK. Yes, the UK. You are our allies. We love the UK. Get John Joseph on the show. Well, listen, that might happen. We'll see. It's tough. The Cromags stuff is tough, man. It's like, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. But yeah, John Joseph, I'd love to get, listen, yeah, don't get me going on the Cromag stuff. Ragman, thank you. Let's bring our guest back on. Let's head it down the home stretch. Let me get these banners off. Go away. Let me get all this stuff off. Get off. Let me get off. Get off. Will you get off? Here's a good one. Words of wisdom from Arnie Stone, right? You like that one? Rat Bones, I'm flying your banner, bro. All right? There's your banner. There's your other banner. Words of wisdom from Arnie Stone. All that. So here you go. Let's bring Porcell back on. Hey, buddy.
When are you gonna have Al on the show?
Listen, Al knows he's welcome. Al knows he's welcome on the show. Jamie was on. Choke was on. Al knows there's an open door for him. Al doesn't do a lot of interviews. He wasn't in my Boston hardcore film. He wasn't up for it. That's okay, but he still contributed to it. Al knows. Al knows he's more than welcome. Let me bring on some of our guys, Porcell, Rat Bones, and Steven with the train blast. What's happening?
What's up?
Where are you, man?
I'm in Woodside. I'm with Woodside.
It's amazing. I always catch you right at the same point, you know?
Yeah. I'm on
Hey,
platform.
hey,
B
can
right
Rat Bones hear me?
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yo, Rat Bones, do you remember that show that Bold played at the Pyramid Club? And you came dressed as a straight edge kid, and you had duct tape green X's on your hands.
I was so the opposite of straight edge.
You look like a straight edge kid with these duct tape green X's on your hand, and you literally stage dive for every single song. It was
I
awesome.
got to say, you know, from coming from two opposite ends of the spectrum, your music also meant so much to us who were like trapped in that spot, you know, in that lifestyle. So
Me and you had a lot of connections back then, right? Even during your worst times.
been a gracious.
We were always kind of just randomly meeting places.
Well, it's like you said, like, you know, we're a kin, we're family, you know.
It's true.
This is I like the dichotomy, Porcell, like in the hardcore world between a guy like Rat Bones and a guy like you. I like how we can all, you know, we can all get along, so to speak, you know?
I remember the weekend Rat Bones moved to New York.
Is that right?
Yes. I remember Rat Bones hanging out in the park, and I was like, who is this dude? And your girlfriend came with you, right?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
The 90s, right?
I remember that. I remember the day Rat Bones came from Detroit.
Hold on, let me let's
Actually, didn't we meet in Detroit?
I think at Blondie's in Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, Youth Today played Detroit. That's where I first met you, because you came up to me at Thomas Square Park. You said, remember me from the Detroit show.
Yeah. I mean, you got to tour with my friends. I think one of the biggest tours to us is this bootleg, I believe, is from a German tour when you had Lethal Aggression open up for you in 88 or 89, was it?
Yeah, 1989. We did that whole tour with Lethal Aggression.
I mean, John was my best friend from Brick, so when that happened, that was really big for us Jersey guys that, like, you know, Lethal Aggression, because we loved you too, even though obviously opposite lifestyle. Their thing was drug core, you know?
You know what was funny? They set up that tour, you know, on purpose just to like cause schism, you know what I mean? Well, we ended up being friends with those guys.
Yeah. You dedicate.
Hey, you guys hold on a second. Let me get Steven. Let me get Steven out of the street here. Hey, Steven.
Yes.
Hey, buddy.
What's up?
We're gonna let you go. I'll see you on Sunday. Anything you have for Porcell before we go?
You know, I actually wanted to say, you mentioned MDC earlier, and I sing in a band called Serial Poets, and we played with them back in 1999 out in Port Jefferson and Long Island with MDC and a band called Destroyed by Anger, if anybody remembers. And it was a really weird kind of thing because it was the kind of club that would play and the headliner would go on at about 1:45 in the morning. And MDC played, and it was just a really bizarre show for them and for us. And I never saw them since then. I think they were on like an album called Millions of Damn Christians at the time. And it was really cool to just to have played with them. And it just really was something. And just the fact that, but, well, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to avoid the, there's some creepy people.
Come on,
here,
keep it moving, baby. Keep it moving.
Hey, I'm moving. I'm out here moving. I don't even have a mask today. But, you know, I just wanted to say that this has been really cool and that it's been you know, great, you know, just listening to the stories and everything. And I've just been, I was honestly, I think I was as big a Shelter fan as I was a Youth of Today fan. And I think that, you know, I'm just glad that you're out there and you're still doing it. And I'm looking forward to everything that you're going to be doing next, you know? Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Stephen. And I just
you know what was really cool. You know, I was saying how MDC was the first show that I went to. Dave from MDC, the whole time on stage was saying all this stuff about vegetarianism, and I think like that was the seed that was planted in my head. That when I moved out of my house when I was 18 to become vegetarian, he had a lot to do with it.
Wow.
And it's so funny, you know, he was saying all this stuff about like corporate death burger, and how the meat industry is destroying the environment. And it's just, I mean, he was saying this stuff in the early 80s, and it's just now becoming part of the mainstream consciousness. That dude MDC were way ahead of their time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible.
Absolutely. Stephen, I just want to listen. I want to thank you. You're a big part of what makes this show successful. You work with me on all the graphics, all the flyers and everything. And your picture of the day is much loved, and you are an integral part of what makes this show successful. So get home safe, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, buddy.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
That's our boy, Stephen. That's our boy, Hardcore Shutterbug, Stephen Messina. I love it. I love when he checks in. He's like literally in the trenches, It's crazy. I'm sorry. Let me see. We got anything?
Let me say one more thing to Porcell, Drew.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I gotta say, I like the way you touched on, like, back in our day. You were saying how all your friends thought you were like looking like a freak when, like, we were punk rockers looking at you guys. You were like the jocks with your font, your leather sleeve coats on and everything. So it's so funny how, like, I remember going to Detroit, and I was a big, flag bearer for all things New York hardcore in the early 80s. When I first moved there, Detroit was very gritty and oi and punk, and they were all skins. And so I would bring Warzone and Underdog and Youth of Today on my cassettes, and they'd be like, that stuff, that ain't never going to fly. No one's going to like that. And, then the shows would happen, and you know how we used to tear it up back then. I definitely just so glad I lived in the same time frame as you. Like, come on, man, the way we're friends and fans of each other, that's what keeps the hardcore spirit alive. And I think that's what keeps it going to this day. We're authentic with this stuff. We really care about the kids, and we got nothing else to do. Like, this is our real life. This is what we believe in, how to make it set a different path, So
I will say this, Rat Bones, you were the first guy I ever saw with a tattoo across his throat. Now you see every friggin' 17-year-old kid with some throat tattoo. You were the first guy I ever saw with throat tattoo.
You still got heart.
You started the whole damn thing.
The only other person I knew then was Vinny Stigma, had the little red hot devil on his neck.
I saw people with tattoos on the side of their neck, but I never saw someone with a tattoo across the front of their throat.
Angel Dust will do a lot of funny things to you,
Hey, Porcell, I want to.
At the end of the day, you were right, Porcell. You know what I mean? I'm lucky I got out of all that stuff, and I'm sober now, and I don't mess around like that. I have a beautiful family now. It's like, we made fun a little bit back then because we were partying, but you guys were right all along,
Dude, I tell you, I'm looking at you today. Like, there was a lot of times where I was like, I saw you in the streets a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just like whacked out on whatever. I used to preach to you.
Yeah. You were the only people that wrote me on Rikers Island in '95 when I was locked up. Yes.
I did.
And that was a big deal. That was a real big deal to me. Like, someone that I looked up to like that really looked up and cared about me too and wanted me to make it, I wish I could have been then,
to see you here alive, doing well with the family, seeing your beautiful kid. I'm so happy for you, dude, because a lot of times I saw you down and out. I was like, is Rat Bones going to be around in a few months? Like, that's like thoughts like that would literally go through my head.
Well,
yeah, man, congratulations. You freaking picked yourself up. I'm proud of you.
We're over 50 now, so those things are past,
Yeah.
Rat Bones,
today.
We'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, guys. Great show, man.
Thank you. And, we have an A7 show on Sunday, Rat Bones. We'll have some fun with it, and thanks for being a part of it, man.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
Gotta love that guy.
Yo, man, he's pulled his life together, and that's really nice to see, because as you know, there were a lot of casualties.
A lot of casualties from that scene, man. A lot of people aren't around anymore.
That's right. It's really sad, and even we're just at the age now where a lot of people that haven't made the conscious decision to start really taking care of themselves, they're not here.
Yeah.
So it said, hey, I want to thank you a million, man, for coming on the show. It was one of the longest shows I've done, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And you're welcome to come back anytime. Thank you so much,
man. I always look forward to chatting with you. You're doing good stuff. I'm a fan.
Okay, let's keep in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care.
Well, there you have it, John Porcelli. That was great. That was a really fun show. I hope you enjoyed it half as much as I did. That was incredible. One of the good ones. And, I think the shows for me are a little bit easier when I don't have, 10 people coming into the show constantly. I could focus up a little bit more. And that was the kind of show that this was. Let me say goodbye to everybody. Davey, thank you. Thanks for your support. I appreciate it. The Central Scrutinizer, thank you. Down in Joe's Garage. Let's get Gavin on the show. I don't know if Gavin would do the show, to be honest with you. If somebody wants to talk to him, the door's open. Open him. Nick Sabbath, thank you for your support. Keep it up. I will, man. I'm enjoying it. You're enjoying it. We're enjoying it. Let's go. Alexander, thank you. Great show. Let me see. Brian, great show, Drew. Love what you're doing, keeping it alive. Hey, man, I must. I have no choice in the matter. I must. So, David Natelli, great show. Thanks, everybody, man. It was a great Holland. Whoa. Renee in Holland. Holland loves your show. Yo, my show loves Holland, bro. What could I tell you? Upstate Rick, I hope you're doing well, buddy. Feed Jim. I know, right? The question is, do I bring Jim with me up to New York? Can this guy get on the plane with me? Put this in my bag. Maybe I should just ship it. Put it in a FedEx box. FedEx box and send you. Hi, Tanya. I hope you're well. Hope you're well down there in the Lower East Side, Tanya. Danielle, a shout out from 11375. I don't know where 11375 is. Not sure what that is. Robert, in Scotland, thank you so much. Man, that was a long show. And it ain't over yet, right? Stayed up all the way, and it's 5 a.m. in Singapore now. Wow, Ragman, thank you so much for staying up till 5 a.m. to watch the show, bro. I hope you enjoyed it, man. I really do. Oh, it's Forest Hills. There you go. Daniel's in Forest Hills. All right. So, that's that. Once again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your support. It means the world to me. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to do fun stuff. I'm coming back to New York. It's on. Do good things and good things will come to you. I'll see you on Sunday.